So India is right in the middle of this massive solar boom. But for a lot of homeowners, that dream of cheap, clean energy, well, it's turning into a total nightmare. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and talk about the hidden and very real cost of cheap solar.
On one hand, you've got this amazing promise, right? The thing that's getting everyone so excited. Quality products at low prices, super fast installation, and great service. I mean, what's not to love? But then there's the reality. And for way too many people, that reality looks like equipment that's constantly failing, electricity bills that are somehow still sky high, and absolutely zero support when things go wrong. This is the huge gap we're driving into.
All right, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the gold rush that's fueling this whole crisis. Then, we'll walk through the post-installation nightmare that so many people are facing. After that, we'll explore why this is a race to the bottom for everyone. Then we get to the really important part, the real cost of cheap. And finally, we'll arm you with what you need to know to choose quality over price.
Okay, let's kick things off with part one, the solar gold rush. It sounds exciting, but this boom in new companies is actually creating a pretty serious crisis for customers. It feels like hundreds of new solar companies are popping up overnight, and they all have the exact same pitch. You've probably heard it before. Hey, we'll give you top quality products, but at rock bottom prices. And here's the thing about these gold rush companies. The barrier to entry here is just shockingly low. I mean, literally anyone can buy some panels, hire a couple of guys, print up some business cards, and suddenly they're a solar installer. The goal isn't to build a sustainable, long-term business. Nope, it's all about making a quick buck.
And this leads us to a pretty uncomfortable truth. The vast majority of these new companies, they're missing all the important stuff. They have no real-world installation experience. They don't have expert engineering teams to actually design a system that's right for your home. A lot of them barely understand the complex electrical side of things. And maybe the biggest red flag of all, they have zero long-term business plan. For an investment that's supposed to last 25 years, that's a huge, huge problem.
So, all those missing pieces, they lead directly to our second section, the post-installation nightmare. This is the part of the story that, they conveniently forget to mention in the sales pitch. So, what exactly happens after that installation? You've signed on the dotted line, the deposit is paid, the crew has come and gone. The job is supposedly complete. But this is where the dream really starts to fall apart.
The first sign that something's wrong is usually the timeline. They promise you it'll take, 2 or 3 weeks? The reality? It's more like 2 or 3 months. It's just chaos. The panels show up one day, the structure shows up another day, the wiring guys come a week after that. It's totally uncoordinated, and the whole time you're just sitting there still paying those high electricity bills. And look, the timeline is just the start of it. The real problems begin once the system is actually switched on. Suddenly, your inverter is just randomly shutting down. You look at your electricity bill, and it's still high. The system is totally underperforming. And the worst part? When you try to call them for support, crickets. Your calls go straight to voicemail, your messages are ignored. You are completely on your own. So why does this happen? Well, it all comes back to that low price promise. To get that price, corners had to be cut everywhere. We're talking untrained workers, improper wiring, incorrect inverter settings, you name it. It's basically a cascading failure, all born from a total lack of expertise. All right, section 3. And this is where it gets really interesting. You'd think these companies offering dirt cheap prices would be swimming in cash, right? Well, the truth is, most of them are actually failing. It's what we call a race to the bottom. Their whole business model is it's broken. Think about this. A whopping 30% of their time is spent just redoing work they messed up the first time. Another 25% of their budget is just wasted materials from bad planning, and another 25% is burned on making multiple, uncoordinated trips to the same site. Their operations are so inefficient that whatever tiny profit margin they had just vanishes into thin air. And so what happens next? Well, it kicks off this vicious cycle. To make up for all that wasted money and just to stay afloat, what do you think they do? They have to cut even more corners. They start using even lower quality materials and hiring even cheaper, less skilled labor. The problem just feeds on itself. Look, at the end of the day, this business model is completely unsustainable. The company eventually collapses under its own mess. They shut down, maybe change their name and pop up somewhere else, but the result for you, the customer, is always the same:
You're left with a faulty system, a warranty that's now worthless, and absolutely no one to call for help.
Okay, let's move on to the really painful part. Section 4, the real cost of cheap. Let's actually put some numbers to the financial damage we're talking about here. It almost always starts with a number that looks really good on paper. You get a few quotes, and one of them is, say, 30,000 rupees cheaper than the rest. You think, wow, that's a fantastic deal. I'm making a smart financial move.
But let's break down what really happens. That 3-month installation delay, that costs you up to 15,000 rupees in electricity bills you shouldn't have been paying. Then, a couple of years later, that cheap inverter they used fails. That's another 40,000 rupees for a replacement. And what about when you realize the poorly installed structure has damaged your roof? That could be another 50,000 to fix. All of a sudden, that 30,000 rupee saving has morphed into a 1 to 2 lakh rupee problem.
Okay, so enough of the doom and gloom. Let's talk solutions. This brings us to our final section, choosing quality over price. How do you actually protect yourself and make a wise choice for an investment that's meant to last 25 years? It's pretty simple, really. Don't just ask for the price. You need to ask these 5 questions. Ask about their experience. Make them show you photos of their completed projects. Ask about their team's training. Ask for a detailed day-by-day installation plan. And this one is crucial. Ask about their after-sales support structure. And finally, ask for the specific brands of panels and inverters they use. A quality provider will have confident answers for all of these.
You know, there's a Hindi proverb that just perfectly summarizes this entire issue. Sasta roye bar bar, manga roye ek bar. It means a cheap solution will make you cry over and over again with endless problems. A quality solution might make you cry once at the initial price, but then it's done.
And that's really the bottom line here. A solar energy system is not a short-term purchase. It is a 25-year decision about the energy future of your home. Don't let the temptation of a cheap price today lock you into a quarter century of headaches and financial loss. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you know the reality behind all those sales pitches, how will you approach your solar decision differently?